Welcome to Game Fondue Reviews. In this video, we're going to take a look at Forbidden Desert. Forbidden Desert is a cooperative game in which players are stranded in the desert and they're trying to escape. Let's jump right in with the description of the rules, see a few example turns being played, and then I'll be back for some closing remarks. This is Forbidden Desert, set up for a two-player game. To set it up, you lay out the tiles randomly in a 5x5 with the middle space open. That's where the storm is going to start. And then around it in a diamond shape, you place 8 of these sand markers, again, centralized on this storm. You shuffle up the equipment cards and you make a deck out of those, as well as the sand cards, the sandstorm cards. And then depending on the number of players, you'll see here's 2, which is us, but there's also for 3, 4, or 5. You choose your difficulty level. We're going to play on the hardest difficulty. And then all the players are going to shuffle up the adventurer cards, and they're going to get one, and each player starts with a full canteen. So you indicate that with this here. So both of these guys happen to have 4, but some different ones have different amounts. So then they take the player in the same color as their guy, and they put it on the space with the crashed helicopter, which happens to be this one here with some sand on it. And then the rest of the sand is stacked up, and then the 4 machine parts are just kind of put near the board as a supply. On a player's turn, they're first going to take up to 4 actions, and then they're going to draw as many cards as indicated on this storm tracker here and resolve the movement of the storm accordingly. The players win collectively if they're able to get all 4 of these parts and get to the launch pad, which we haven't yet uncovered, but it's out there somewhere. But players can lose in 3 different ways. If any person runs out of water down to this skull and crossbones, it's actually below 0. Or if we run out of sand markers when we need to place one, there's none left in the supply. Or if this gets all the way up to the skull and crossbones in terms of how severe the storm is. So let's go over the actions a player can take in a turn. There's 4 of them. They are move, remove sand, excavate, or they can pick up a part. Also, the player's individual adventurer can usually modify his abilities regarding those actions during a turn. Some even add additional actions like this one here. So the first and the simplest is to move. And to move, you have to be in an unblocked tile. A tile is considered blocked if there's at least 2 sand on it. Once you get beyond 2 sand, it stays blocked and you won't be able to move. But you can move between unblocked tiles for 1 action, and you cannot move diagonally, although Explorer can, but we'll get to that shortly. So normally this could be 1 action, this could be 2, etc. There's also tunnel spaces like this one here, and if that's showing and there's another tunnel space showing and they're both unblocked, you can move between them for 1 action. So another one could be, oh, here's one, perfect. So if you're here, you could move to there for 1 action. The next action you can take is to remove sand. You can remove sand on any space adjacent to you, again, not diagonally, or the space you're on, and for 1 action you remove 1 sand. So if there was a whole lot of sand here, you could just keep taking it off if you'd like to. There's nothing really special about that, except you do put the sand back in the supply. Remember, if you ever run out, you will lose. Next is to excavate. And to excavate, you have to be on a tile without sand on it, and you just flip it. You have to be on that space in order to flip it. You can't flip an adjacent space or anything like that. A lot of the spaces have different symbols on them. This is actually the launch pad. This is where you're trying to get at the end of the game. But some of them, like this one, have an equipment symbol. And when you get that symbol, you draw the top card of the equipment deck and you put it face up in front of you. And you're going to keep it there until you use it. Once you use it, it will be discarded. There's also some spaces that give you hints about where these are located. I believe this was one of them. So you'll see, we know that this wheel here is in this row. But this may move over the course of the game due to the storm. But when you flip both of them, there's 2 hints for each part. One is horizontal and one is vertical. And that will show you where it is. So as soon as you flip the second one, you put the part out right at that space. It may even be in the storm, but just put it there. The storm will move and it'll ultimately stay in that space and be on a different tile. There's also 3 tiles with this little water symbol on them. And actually, there it is. One of them isn't actually going to have water. But the others, if they're ever excavated or flipped face up, all the people on that tile at that time only, you can't go to it later and do this, immediately get to refill 2 water in their canteen. You can never go above full, though, so you can only max it out. But this space and this space are going to have some water for whoever is there when they get flipped face up. So the last thing you can do in a turn is once you find both of the clues for a part, let's just pretend it was here. I'm not actually sure where it's located. But if you're on that space and this tile is excavated, it has to be excavated, and you can pick this up. So once you pick it up, once players have all 4 of these in their possession and they get to this launch pad here, they win the game. It's also important to note if 2 players are ever on the same space, it doesn't cost an action at all. They can freely share water between each other. and items as well. So if this player had an item, he could pass it to this guy over here. And if you share water, one player's water will go down and the other players will go up. Remember, you can never go above a full canteen. So after you're done your 4 actions, or up to 4, then you draw storm cards. And it's indicated here, this is a 3 zone, so the first time would be drawing 3. But as this gets higher, you're going to be drawing more and more cards each time. So when you draw a card, you're usually going to get a card that looks something like this or like this. And what that does is it just moves the storm. And you draw these cards one at a time, so let's just stick with the first one we drew. Before we discard it, we do what it says. And remember to make sure this symbol is always the bottom so you're going the right way. But the storm is going to move. So one tile is going to move this direction. So the storm is now going to be here. And any tile that moves gets sand on it. If it was already here, say, and this was drawn, nothing would happen. So that'd be a nice benefit for the players. But you're going to draw as many, and you're going to resolve them each individually. There's also some storm picks up cards like this that just raise this by 1 level. So as they start coming out, it's the storm starts going faster and faster and faster. And lastly, there's sun beats down cards, and that is for anybody that is not in a tunnel space. If you're here, you're okay, but when this comes out, anybody who's out in the open like this guy here loses 1 water from their canteen. So you got to watch out for that, because remember, if one player runs out of water, the game is lost for everybody. So in order to win, you get those 4 parts to the launch pad with all the players. You can't leave anybody behind. But if somebody runs out of water, you run out of sand markers here, or this reaches the top, the game is over and all the players have been defeated. Let's get going with this playthrough. So the green player is going to go first, and he's the explorer. So when he moves, he can do it diagonally. He can also remove sand diagonally. For his first move, he's going to go 1, and he's going to flip this up for 2. Ooh, great, a hint. So they're getting a better idea where this part might be located. Then he's going to go 3. He's going to flip 1 more up for 4. And he gets an item because this has an equipment. So all players in your tile receive 2 water. So he's going to keep that in front of him for when he needs it, and then he can use it. Now it's the end of his turn, and this is already at 3 here up high. So he's going to draw 3 storm cards. So the first is this direction. So he's going to do this and put a sand on that. And then next he's got another one, but going the opposite direction. So now remember, this space is considered buried or blocked, and here would be another. And he's going to draw 1 more. He does so, but the storm picks up. So now on future turns, players are actually going to have to draw 4 cards. It's a very, very rough first turn. So now it's the white guy's turn. So he's going to go 1, 2, and he's going to flip this for 3. He also gets an item, so he's going to keep this in his area, and he can take 2 more actions during a turn. So he's going to go 4. So he's done for the turn, and then he has to draw 4 cards. So he's got these move down 2. So this one becomes buried, and this one over here gets some sand on it. And then he's got to draw a whole bunch more. Now they're going to move up 2. That's not great. And then he's got, oh no, he's got down 2. And lastly, he's got 1 to the side. So he'll go there. Now remember, this guy can't move onto or through any of these spaces because they're buried. They have to have 1 or less sand on him. Because he's the explorer, he can blow sand diagonally. So he's going to go 1, 2, knock these off back to the supply. Then he's going to go 3, and he's going to flip this up for 4. And there's another hint for him. But now he's got another storm step. And it's going to continue like this. The game might look like this at the end if the players aren't doing so well. See, this player was able to get 3 of the parts, but they still weren't able to find all the clues for this one. They have 1 clue here, but one of the others is probably one of these tiles here. 2 cards have already been drawn, and they need to draw another, and it's going to move down. So the storm 1 tile goes down, but they're out of sand markers, so the players have been defeated. Forbidden Desert is a fantastic cooperative game. It goes over tremendously well with new players, which is critical for me because I play a lot of cooperative games with newer players or players who don't play a lot of games and are just looking to have a good time. However, there's a lot going on in this game, so I think gamers will enjoy it as well, and I've played it with people who play a lot of games, and they certainly like it too. It's really fun to mix and match the different roles because they do interact differently and there's different combinations you can pull off. But the real big thing for me in this game is the challenge level. I don't find it too easy or too hard, and you can adjust it, you know, as you improve at the game. But all of my victories tend to be right on the cusp of defeat and vice versa, which makes it real fun and real replayable for me. This is Forbidden Desert. It's strongly recommend it for family groups, but also, you know, for other people. I'm not even a big fan of cooperatives, but I really like this one, so it might be one that's just worth giving a try. Thanks for watching.